This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. A participant in nearly 700 PGA Tour events. 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
And away we go. Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. And if you love golf, you love personalities in sports, we get one of the best ones today, and that's David Feherty.
Danny, it's great to be with you. And I can't wait to get to sit down with David Feherty. You know, gone to live. He's always fun to talk to, even without that sort of controversial subject. But from a real serious standpoint, I want to know his thought processes, because the guy he's a jokester and he's got a great sense of humor, but he's a very thoughtful guy. And I know there's going to be sound reasoning behind him, at least in his point of view.
Does he want to be the number one analyst? Probably. But the money doesn't hurt either of what he was given to go and make this jump. He was great on CBS. He was great on NBC. I think he's just great for the sport. But I am interested, was this just a money grab for David Feherty? And that's okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, NBC, before he left, had canceled his show. Maybe there's something like that in there. Who the hell knows? It'll be fun to talk to him regardless. And you know, he always has a story or two that keeps you on the edge of your seat.
I love his interviews. I think his show was great. And it didn't matter if you were just a golf fan, because he would get into the weeds with some of the biggest names in sports, politics, government officials, whatever, but he would get to the insight that you wanted to hear about. Not just golf. It was more than just golf.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about some of his guests. Bill Russell's interview sticks in my mind. Condoleezza Rice, Bill Clinton. I mean, it's just he's just a really eclectic guy that crosses over a lot of different lines. And now, you know, he's calling golf for live, so it'll be fun.
The PGA Championship will wrap up today, and the PGA Championship is at Oak Hill Country Club in Rochester, New York. Okay, simply put, do you like the PGA Championship this early in the golf season?
No, I'm a fossil. I'm old, and I loved having the summer kick in. You know, the U.S. Open is around Father's Day, and that is super special to any of us dads, as we both are, and love that kind of correlation. Then you have the British Open, and I just like that last major. It's hot, it's summertime, and the PGA Championship kind of rounded that out. Now, honestly, it is kind of fun to have a major in May, and I'm really excited about Oak Hill. Oak Hill, Danny, is a beast. And the golf course, the last time we played up there, Jason Duffner won the championship. It was the PGA Championship, and he shot about 10 under par. That's really says a lot about a golf course to be able to hold its own with the modern game. And the winner is shooting 10 under par. They have renovated that place. They have moved tees. And I can't wait to see those changes, because I have not been there since then.
So you have played there, and you're watching today. If you're the casual fan and you tune in, you're watching that final day, what is the key in a PGA Championship in terms of how they make the course? I mean, we know the U.S. Open, the rough is going to be huge. The greens are going to be fast. So the difference with the PGA Tour is what? And then how do you play at this particular course, Oak Hill Country Club in Rochester, New York?
So the conditions are going to be similar. That golf course, and you and I have talked about this so often off the air. The hardest thing about some of the hardest holes in golf, Danny, dead straightaway holes that are narrow with a small green. It's like it's right in front of you. It's not tricky. You just got to do it, and you have to do it for 4 days, and that's the key, and holding the composure, because Andy North said something so cool when he talked about winning, what it took to win a U.S. Open. He knew he was going to hit the ball in the rough. He was just trying not to beat himself. And when I think about the champion here, it's going to be the guy that handles the adversity the best, because you know he's going to hit some weird shots. You know he's going to miss putts. It just happens. How quickly do you rebound back and get your train back on track, so to speak?
So in the Masters, the LIV players were a part of it. They're allowed to come back, play in the majors. I don't know if you feel this way. I felt that kind of broke the ice between the PGA Tour and LIV, and everybody was cordial with it, and so we've seen that with the PGA Championship this weekend. Do you think they should be allowed? I love seeing Phil back and what he did in the back nine on Sunday. I love watching DJ. Koepka, all he wants to do is win majors. I just think it's good for the sport to have these big names back.
100%. I hate how we've gotten here. Danny, drop the puck and you get to play the
Right.
PGA Championship, and why would you not want Cam Smith? I mean, who doesn't love watching DJ? When that guy's on with his driver, he can absolutely knock a course down to size. And so one of the things that I hate about Live Golf is that it's splintered the players, and so we're not seeing the best players play together all the time, and I hate that.
On the Range is presented by the Gateway section of the PGA, and I want to get into this too just a little bit, the Ryder Cup and how it pertains to these PGA championships or the U.S. Open, Masters, the British, the PGA Tour, which is where majority of points are earned towards one of the 6 automatic bids for the Ryder Cup, is important when you talk about the LIV players and where they fit into this, and we'll ask David Feherty about that, but also with the PGA Tour players that have elected not to go. The automatic spots are up for grabs, but how do you incorporate LIV and what guys do with a championship, a major, and then trying to figure out your team if you're Zach Johnson in the U.S.?
Yeah, it's really difficult, and we're in the weeds on this stuff, and we don't know the answers yet. They're saying that there's a really good chance on the U.S. side that the LIV players are going to be able to play. It's way more undecided for the Euros, and Luke Donald captaining over there. And Luke's a great guy and a tremendous golfer, former world number 1. It just muddies the water so much, Danny. I'm not even sure how to talk about it, but I will tell you this. If the Euros aren't bringing Sergio Garcia, Lee Westwood, Ian Poulter, those guys have been staples for this competition for the last 20 years. It's going to be weird, and then it'll be a void and a gap to fill for those guys.
Zach Johnson, what really stood out to me, the captain for the U.S. team, as we mentioned, has said he wants chemistry, he wants camaraderie. Now, a lot of captains say that going into this, but this year, more than ever, you have to think about the relationship of PGA Tour players and what they thought of these guys with LIV and them jumping from the PGA Tour and then saying, oh, by the way, we're on the same team and we need to have that chemistry and camaraderie. May not be a big deal. You played 30-plus years on the PGA Tour. May not be a big deal, but that's the way I look at it, too, is that there's got to be camaraderie with these guys.
No, you're spot on. You're spot on. And listen, up until the last Ryder Cup, I would say the Euros have done a way better job in the room than the U.S. players have. But, Danny, make no mistake about it, up at Whistling Straight, the tide turned. The younger players that are coming up on the PGA Tour, the Schauffele's of the world, the Bryson DeChambeau's, Patrick Cantlay, Colin Morikawa. The tide has absolutely turned, and the Euros are getting long in the tooth. Sergio, Lee Westwood, Ian Poulter's not even really been relevant in professional golf for the last 5 or 6 years. Now, he still pulls a rabbit out of his hat every now and again with the Ryder Cup because he loves that competition. But, Danny, the Euros were going to be on their heels one way or the other in this competition because just the surge of great, great young players on the PGA Tour.
Couple of new sponsors to Golf with Jay Delsing. Paul Manos, located in Chesterfield, outstanding restaurant. You and I have gone there for so many years. Want to thank Paul for jumping on the show. And if you're headed to Paul Manos, make sure you tell Paul that we sent you there. And also, another new sponsor, Family Golf and Learning Center. For the best practice facility in St. Louis, head to Family Golf and Learning Center in Kirkwood, which leads us to our tip of the cap.
And before I do that, Danny, just want to say again another thank you to Adam and to Paul for us to be able to do this show and associate our show with those brands. That's really cool. And Adam may not be iconic yet, but this practice facility
it's unbelievable.
It's world class and the best in probably 1,000-mile radius. Think about that. It is that good. So thanks to those guys. Tip in the cap. It's brought to you by the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood and our buddy Colin Burnt. 314-966-0303. Guys, any sort of car need you have, you can send me an email, jay@jdelsinggolf.com. I will personally reach out, introduce you to Colin. He's a great guy. We're tipping our cap today to the golf instructors, particularly the 10 golf instructors that Adam has down at Family Golf and Learning Center. You talk about top-of-the-line instructors, you got Rob Storchik, you got Bobby G, Bobby Gauss. I played junior golf with Bobby. Bobby not only is a good teacher, he's a great player. And you've got JR down there. The list goes on and on, but there are women instructors too for the gals if they'd like to teach from and learn from a female perspective. They've got you covered down there. So they're doing a great job. You got to check it out. The indoor short game lab, the grass tees. They've got the new Bermuda out there. You got to check it out. The double-decker hitting areas. The par 3, the golf course, is a great place to get involved at the game, especially if you're just learning it. So the tip of the cap is brought to you by Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood and Colin Bird. Colin, thanks so much. 314-966-0303 for any of your car buying needs.
On the Range, presented by the Gateway section of the PGA. Coming up, we visit with David Feherty. Should be a lot of fun on the Front Nine. This is Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
That was On the Range with Jay Delsing. For news on the latest golf equipment, tips, and to ask Jay a question, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. Coming up, it's the Front Nine on Golf with Jay Delsing.
Daugherty Business Solutions, the title sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show, is a leader in our community in so many areas. Do they have over 2,500 teammates in over 30 states and 3 countries? Yes, they do. Are they the largest IT consulting firm in our area? Yes, they are. Are they the largest software developer in the St. Louis region? Of course they are. But here are a few other important things to know about Daugherty Business Solutions. They are the presenting sponsor of the Ascension Charity Classic. They are the presenting sponsor, and we're the first presenting sponsor of the Advocate Professional Golfers event at Glen Echo that will be held there this year as well. They are also the founders of Access Point. This is a community game changer. It builds diversity in the IT workforce. Hundreds of mostly African-American women are getting $50,000 to $60,000 a year jobs right out of high school. That's right out of high school. Ron Daugherty, company founder, chaired the 2023 Heart Ball this year. It supported the local American Heart Association chapters and raised over $600,000 in one evening. These are more examples of the many things that Daugherty Business Solutions does in our community.
The Legends of Golf return to St. Louis in 2023. You won't want to miss one of the strongest fields in golf. Ernie Els, Steve Stricker, Bernard Longer, John Daly, and many more when they compete for the 2023 Ascension Charity Classic title, September 5th through the 10th at historic Norwood Hills Country Club. All proceeds benefit area charities. Together, we were able to donate over $1 million to those most in need last year. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com.
Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance, and you are listening to Golf with my friend Jay Delsing.
The official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show is the Dean Team. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They provide me, Pearlie, and our families with all of our cars. The reason we went with the Dean Team is because we could trust them. We knew at the Dean Team they were going to take care of us. And they have. They made the entire car buying experience so simple. It was more than just simply selling us a vehicle. The Dean Team made our car buying experience seamless and enjoyable throughout that entire process. The Dean Team has the complete car buying steps done before you head into their showroom. They're ready to answer all your questions and set your mind at ease when buying a vehicle. At the Dean Team, they offer new, pre-owned, and all the services included with your Dean Team purchase. When you're with the Dean Team, they become lifelong friends. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, located at Manchester Road in Kirkwood. The Dean Team.
This is the Front Nine on Golf with Jay Delsing. The Front Nine is presented by the Ascension Charity Classic, September 5th through the 10th at Norwood Hills Country Club. Find out more at ascensioncharityclassic.com.
Golf with Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That's Jay Delsing. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. We move to the Front Nine, and what a treat this is to visit with one of the great personalities, not only in golf but in sports, and that is David Feherty, longtime analyst on the PGA Tour with CBS, and now has made the jump to the LIV Tour. Hey, David, thanks for hopping on the show. Certainly, we appreciate it. Let's start with this. I would imagine that this has got to be an exciting time for you to join the upstart LIV Tour.
I've covered all four majors. I've done the Ryder Cup, the President's Cup. I've done the Olympics. I've done all the playoff events. I've played on both sides of the Atlantic and around the world. It was really, the logical place for me to go. I mean, I've done everything else. And it's been a really exciting trip, so far. I feel like we've been on a kind of a pirate ship, for a while, but we've got the wind in our sails. And, it's an opportunity for me to be lead analyst and to do some things that, I haven't been able to do over the last, 28 years in broadcasting.
And that's saying a lot, Bud, because, I mean, besides being an accomplished player, and I know you've made fun of your career most of your life, but you're a hell of a player. Nowadays, golf has just become, I don't want to say stagnant, but when you take Tiger Woods out of the mix, like unfortunately has been happening, it just doesn't do the same for everybody, does it?
Well, I think since 96 when he showed up, every now and then someone comes along who changes the game. And, he's responsible for the standard of play that we see these days. It's phenomenal the way that these kids play the game. They're so much better than we used to be. So not having Tiger is, he's getting on. It makes me feel old. I'll be 65 next time. But we have tremendous players out there. I just hope that we can get to a place, where all the best players in the world can play together again. That's my eventual hope for this.
David, there's so many people, though, that miss seeing you every Saturday, or they miss your show. Now, they're going to be able to see that with LIV, and I guess the question would be, why did you jump to LIV? Was it simply money? Was it the opportunity? Was it a change of scenery for you? What was it for David Feherty?
It was an opportunity to do something different, to be a lead analyst, for the first time in my career. And to be involved with the development of the game in a different format. I've been in this game for 50 years now. Traveling around the world, and I've been in the United States for nearly 30 years now, and it was really the logical place for me to go. Because I felt like I'd done everything else.
Do you like to be interviewed, or do you like to be the guy that, you get to interview the other person? What's more fun for you?
I think, the interviewing, for me, I kind of missed my show that was on the Golf Channel for 10 years. But we're going to revamp that and do a show with LIV. It's going to be more of a travel log, but we're, hoping to get that on the air in the coming months. So, I always enjoyed the interview part of it.
Who's been the best one that you interviewed? You sat down a guy and you went, holy smokes, that was unbelievable.
I had so many holy smokes moments. And I interviewed more than 160 people.
Wow.
Every time I think of someone that was amazing, like a Bill Russell, who, he just changed my attitude. He affected my life. Just the 2 days that I spent with Bill Russell. Condoleezza Rice, well, what an extraordinary human being, and to be able to spend time with her. And then there were, the actors, Matthew McConaughey and Sam Jackson and Don Cheadle, and the comedians, George Lopez, and it just, Tom Watson, who changed my life, has been a big brother to me over the last 15, 20 years. It's been it was an amazing ride. It really was. Jack Nicklaus, who fished me out of the Indian River. Oh boy, there's just too many to even think about.
One of the things, and I so enjoyed your interviewing, but one of the things that will never leave my mind is what Bill Russell said to you when you said, what sort of advice would you give to I think you said a young athlete coming into their sport?
And I was expecting some, kind of a long, piece of, sports advice or career, changing advice or whatever. And he looked at me and he scratched the sort of stubble on his gray chin while he looked and he said, be kind. And, the two most important words maybe in the English language are be kind. And, with the atmosphere that we've got these days in America, and not just in America, believe me, I've just been in the UK and it's there are a lot of people waiting around every corner, hoping to be offended by something. I think we're being held ransom by a bunch of mean-spirited, people with no sense of humor. Our sense of humor has been kidnapped because you can't make fun of anybody anymore. Everybody's too sensitive. Well, if you're just kind to the next person that you see, and if that's your attitude, all of a sudden every problem disappears. And Bill Russell just put it perfectly in 2 words for me.
You are amazing in terms of interviewing, and you understand television, and you understand how to bring the viewer in sports television. So I'm curious, in being a lead analyst now with Live, how are you going to try to change, if you can, viewership for the golf fan out there and bring them in, and maybe bring a non-golf fan in and make them a fan of golf by being a lead analyst with Live? What can you do to change the viewership, if you know what I'm trying to say here, and make it a little bit different than what we've been seeing, the last 10 or 20 years?
Well, I think there's a tendency for lead analysts all over, to try to, not protect, that's probably the wrong word, but be less than honest, if you like, when they're talking about, players and what they may be thinking and, what may be affecting the way that they're playing. I'm hoping just to be flat out, dead straight honest. And I'm hoping that players won't mind. Oh, yeah, they do. Every now and then you will. But I really only ever had a problem, with Monty when it came to that, because hey, if I make fun of someone, it's not their reaction, that really matters. It's it is their reaction that matters, and if they're offended by it, being offended is something that you choose to be. You have to choose to be offended. It's not like somebody sticks a knife in you. Oh, that hurts. You have to think of it one way or the other. Should I let that offend me, or should I actually run with it? And by your reaction, that's how you'll be judged by everybody else.
David, one of the things that you said that is so true about playing on the PGA Tour is that the guys out there, when they find your soft spot and they judge your reaction to that, if they know they're under your skin, you're cooked. Man, you are absolutely host. And I loved what you just said about the choice. And it's so true. And we've all had those guys that, get so rubbed the wrong way when you start giving them grief, you can't stop. It's so much fun.
Well, that's right. But eventually most of them come around and realize, that it is, it's all in fun. And by your reaction is how you're judged.
When you think of your time with Tiger, and you had a lot of time with Tiger on the course, I'm not so sure what you had off the course. I'm not sure many people have had a lot of time off the course with him. What comes to mind for David Feherty?
Obviously, a lot of time with him on the course, right at the leading edge. I was with CBS for 19 years, and every time, Tiger Woods was on the air, it was either Peter Costas or myself, that was with him. And I spent a fair bit of time with him off, away from the camera as well. And, he's a complicated character. As well as I know him, I really don't know him that well.
I'm not sure anybody does.
He had a complex. No, I'm not sure anybody does either. He put up such an iron dome that in order to be as good as he was, it was almost a prerequisite, that he had that hard shell around him. And I think a lot of it too was, we forced him to be that way by following him everywhere with a camera. He didn't get a minute's peace, so, between that and, the fact that he was, has been over the years so badly managed, it's difficult. There were times when I just wanted to grab him and say, look, just spend 5-10 minutes with me here, and show a little vulnerability. It would have gone such a long way, to helping people to understand who he is.
David, for me, it was so hard to watch play out in the public eye. It's been called the greatest karma sandwich of all time, with what happened to him after Thanksgiving in 2009 and all of that jazz. But for someone that did so much for us, for the game, for our sport, if this thing doesn't happen, every single every single record in our rule book, in our history books, is going to be undone by this guy. He'd have had, David, I don't think there's any question in my mind, he'd have had between 25 and 35 majors in 150 tournaments.
It's amazing how good he was and how much better he was than everybody else. I think in the official world golf rankings, which are now irrelevant, so that's another story. The guy who was second in the world, for a long time was Ernie Els. For a while it was Vijay Singh. For a while I think it was Phil. But at one point, the gap in points between him and the guy who was second was the same as the gap in points between the guy who was second and the guy ranked 1,000th in the world.
Oh my God!
And that to me, along with the cuts made, the amount of majors is one thing, but he holds so many other records that will never be beaten. No one's ever going to make 143 cuts in a row. From now until the end of time, that's not going to happen. So for me, it was just such a privilege to be around him and to be as close as I got to him, for so many years. To be at the leading edge of that and be able to see it up close and in person was just, it was such a privilege.
David, you said something a moment ago that really struck me. You said he was badly managed, and you talked about, hey, maybe show your vulnerability. If you were to manage him, put yourself in that spot, in that position, what would you have done? What would you have said to Tiger? How would you have potentially managed him, having had a chance to be in the media, been a player, understand what he was in to an extent of those shoes? What would you have done with him?
Well, the first thing I'd have done was, to have me interview him, not Oprah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
And my first question would have been like, dude, seriously, what were you thinking? And, for to have him just honestly answer that, and I don't know what the answer was. It's like, God, I don't know. I let it run away from me, and I'm an addict. I have that addictive gene, and I'm, going to do my best to navigate my way through this, and hopefully, people will forgive me, and, because people did. It just took too long. He received so much bad advice, at times from yes men, people that just wanted to maintain their position within, his little organization there, that was around him. I'm not talking about the massive organization, the Tiger Woods Foundation, and he's done so much good, and it helped educate so many children. It's hard to put a price on that. It really is. And as Jay says, what he's done for the rest of us, we should form a human carpet of golfers' buttocks that he could wear hard spikes across to the first tee.
David, what the people that he brought into the game, the excitement that he brought into the game, I'm old, but I wasn't old enough to get to play in Jack's prime, but there was nothing like that. You and I had never experienced anything like that sort of excitement on a golf course, whether it was the Bay Hill Classic and him making another putt on 18, or, him making a birdie in the third round of a U.S. Open somewhere. The amount of people that he brought in, it was staggering. I can remember playing in the I was 46. I played in the U.S. Open at Winged Foot, and his dad had just died. And our fathers had actually passed away on the same day, coincidentally. And I had left a note in his locker, and we had said a few things. But I had my children with me at Winged Foot, and we were out on Tuesday afternoon, and all of a sudden, it seemed like out of nowhere, but probably a horde of 15 or 20,000 people were moving towards the practice tee. And my daughter said, "Dad, what is going on?" I said, "Tiger's going to practice." It's the only thing, David, that it could have been, unless there was, a tsunami or something coming in Westchester County.
It was an unnatural phenomenon. There was no question about that. It was like he was a magnet, that drew, so many people towards the game, and, brought a lot of eyeballs to the screen that might not otherwise have been there. Winning majors, winning tournaments, and just, you expected so much of him. And he delivered on so many occasions, unlike any player in history.
Do you think he has one more win in him to get to that elusive one more win?
I think he does, yeah. In fact, it would surprise me if he doesn't win again. I know he's not going to play very much, but he's not going to play at all unless he thinks he can win. And the only mistake that I've ever made in my commentary about Tiger Woods is when I've underestimated him.
Man, that is so true. I have counted him out. I can remember when he was struggling with his back, and that we were told getting that back fusion but was a career ender. He comes back, and it made all the difference in the world. The guy comes back with all the speed. Suddenly his glutes were firing again, thank God, and off he went. And I for the life of me, I couldn't figure that out.
He's just a creature from another planet. Nobody has ever seen anything like him. And my children won't see golf like that. Their children probably won't see golf like that. It's just a once in a millennia, that kind of experience.
Hey, David, if you wouldn't mind holding on through the break, we'd certainly appreciate it. I want to get into the idea of the PGA Tour and LIV coming together, if that could actually happen, and also your amazing involvement and work with helping our military. What a treat this is. David Feherty is our guest. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
That was the Front Nine, presented by the Ascension Charity Classic. Coming up, it's the Back Nine and more of golf with Jay Delsing.
Hey, St. Louis, Delsing here. Call Redbird Heating and Cooling or visit them on the web at redbirdhvac.com to become part of their team. They offer great pay and the opportunity to become a licensed HVAC specialist while you work for them. This is a fantastic opportunity to earn a great wage. Don't wait. Call them today. 314-320-9507. That's 314-320-9507. Redbird Heating and Cooling.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green design to help you with all the shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open the Tahoma Bermuda Grass Tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. Also, don't forget about the short game green. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center.
This is Jay Delsing. Did you know that Marcone is the largest authorized appliance parts distributor in the world? That's right, the largest in the world. Did you know that Marcone is based right here in our backyard of St. Louis, Missouri? Well, that's pretty impressive. What's more impressive is the way that they give back to the St. Louis community and our region. CEO Jim Sowers has donated service dogs to the wounded servicemen and women of our armed forces. Suites at St. Louis Blues games have been donated and auctioned off, in which all proceeds were given to the Backstoppers. Then there was the Marcone Police and Firefighters viewing deck at the Ascension Charity Classic this past year. It was a huge success, so much so that it's being implemented on other tour stops around on the PGA Tour. To Jim Sowers and his incredible team at Marcone, we want to say thank you. Thank you, Marcone, a proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. You'll see the latest in equipment, find the latest innovations in golf, and get tips from a PGA professional. That's jdelsinggolf.com.
Powers Insurance and Risk Management combines 200 years of experience and cutting-edge products to deliver exceptional service, value, and clarity to their clients. Powers Insurance will deliver the highest quality property and casual insurance programs and strategic planning consultation services in the industry. Insurance can be overwhelming and confusing. It can be tough to understand. Powers Insurance simplifies it for you and your business. Powers Insurance and Risk Management will partner with you by providing ongoing assistance, consultation, and service that will help you control your insurance expenses and your workplace safety. Find out how Powers Insurance can help you. Visit powersinsurance.com. That's powersinsurance.com.
This is the Back Nine on Golf with Jay Delsing. The Back Nine is presented by Pro-Am Golf, located in Brentwood. See what Pro-Am Golf can do for you.
This is the Back Nine. Welcome back to Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. David Feherty, the #1 analyst for LIV and longtime PGA Tour analyst, is our guest, and he's been kind enough to hang through the break. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Over there, that's Jay Delsing. David, thanks for hanging on with us. We certainly appreciate it. I want to jump into this. Do you see a time that the PGA Tour and LIV Tour actually come together and effectively become a united front, and they come together and we truly have the best players in the world competing again?
I don't see them coming together, Danny, but I do see, players on both sides being able to play in one or the other, and I think that's pretty good. It's as good as we can hope for. And, if the LIV players can find a way to earn official World Golf Ranking points again, well then, the World Golf Rankings come back irrelevant. And I think that's the most important thing because, majors and, they want to see the best field. They deserve to have the best field. And if you've got a player like Dustin Johnson who's ranked 300th in the world, well, it kind of makes a mockery of it. So we have to find a way where, our guys, can play in relevant golf tournaments around the world.
Couple of things. We talked about your show, and I know people that are listening are going to be so excited. Give us a little bit of time frame when we can expect, Bud, to see you back doing your thing. I personally can't wait.
We're not sure the shape of the show yet. There's a bunch of us kind of throwing ideas around, but I would hope by the middle of next year, we would have something to put on the air.
And for me, finally, Jay and I are intimately involved in our community with the military.
in the middle of America and obviously in St. Louis in Missouri, but you have done just incredible amounts of work with the military for the United States, and it's just remarkable the amount of money and awareness that you have raised for veterans, fallen soldiers, the men and women of our military, and you're to be commended for that. And so, David, what are you doing now? What's happening with that, and how can people get involved? Because, again, you're to be commended for everything you've done with that.
I'm just about to go and see a Ranger, Victor Van Dam, a wounded sniper, who's got an adapter of mine for a suppressor.
Wow,
and,
I love it.
There are 5 reasons why this country is great, and they are Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. And 5 reasons only. It has nothing to do with politicians. It's got nothing to do with business people. It's about our armed forces. They're the reason that we have the freedom, that we have the ability to have lives that we have. Every time we've fallen back on them, they've come through. And, for me, just the opportunity to be around them is the greatest honor of my life. A Troops First Foundation, and Jay has been tremendously helpful with me, our fundraising events, our efforts at Oakmont, where the people have been incredible. With George Strait, who has put on an event each year for us for the last 11 years and raised millions of dollars. We're continually trying to improve the lives of the kids that need us, and our efforts in suicide prevention, continue with Operation Warrior Call. We provide service dogs, and like I say, it's just the greatest honor of my life.
David, I got to tell you, we love talking golf. I love having dinner with you. I love where the hell our conversations go. God only knows where we go. But honestly and truthfully, the way that I feel hanging around our men and women heroes that have come back without an arm, no eye, all of these scars, both, emotional and physical, the way I feel around them changed my life. It's impossible to say enough in some sort of stupid words to make any sense. But these folks, these heroes, have the greatest attitude and such admiration and respect for our country and our flag. It's changed me, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah, me too. And how we started this conversation about people being offended, and having no sense of humor. Their sense of humor is extraordinary. These kids that come home broken, burned badly, missing limbs, with post-traumatic stress disorder. They have that incredible sense of humor that makes you admire them even more. And I know that Brendan Morocco, Jay, who came back from Iraq with no arms and no legs. He lost all 4 limbs. He was the first American serviceman to survive such an injury. And, Brendan, for the first few months of his physical therapy, he did it in a swimming pool. So we called him Bob.
Oh.
And yeah, and Brendan laughs. And Brendan laughs. So, if Brendan can laugh, don't tell me, that, if you're one of these marginalized groups, or whatever, that gets so offended, that you can't laugh. Give me a break.
David, is there a way that people can support you that are listening to this around the country? Is there a website they can go to, phone number? Where can they can find out your events and go support you?
I go to Feherty'sFirst.org. You'll find out all of the info that you need, and we're very appreciative of any support that we get.
I gotta wrap up with this though. I have a final question.
Yeah.
Dead or alive, military member that you would love to interview?
Well, there are a lot of people, and around the periphery of the military. People like Churchill.
Yeah.
What I wouldn't have given to have spent an hour in his company. People like Thomas Jefferson, just heroes of mine. Chesty Puller, the legendary Marine. That's a difficult one. That's almost as hard to answer as who's my favorite interview.
I bet.
Really, I'm Ray Odierno, who was the chief of the army, who passed away fairly recently, was a great friend of mine. I would love to have been able to spend another hour with Ray. So many, but I'm happy, and I'm happiest when I'm in their company, that's for sure.
This has been just awesome to visit with you and fascinating. Congratulations on what you're doing with Live, but more importantly, what you're doing for our fallen soldiers and our heroes. So thank you so much, David. This has been incredible.
Love you, buddy.
You too, buddy. Yeah, we'll see you down the road.
What a fascinating interview with David Feherty, and our thanks to one of the great personalities in the game of golf. Lots to unpack when we come back on the Golf with Jay Delsing show. It'll be the 19th hole on Golf with Jay Delsing. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
This has been the Back Nine, presented by Pro-Am Golf. We'll make the turn into the clubhouse and head into the 19th hole. That's next on Golf with Jay Delsing.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute-trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green design to help you with all the shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open, the Tahoma Bermuda grass tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. Also, don't forget about the short game green. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center.
Delsing here, and since 1975, Tom DeGrand and his children have founded and run the top golf store in all of St. Louis. It's located on South Brentwood. The DeGrandts and Pro-Am Golf Centers have been helping all of St. Louis play better golf through better equipment, lessons on the indoor simulators, and by getting you fitted using the state-of-the-art technology. Call 314-647-8054 and set up your personal fitting with CJ. He's the best, and he will help you find the right equipment that's perfect for your game. For nearly 50 years, St. Louis has trusted their games to Pro-Am Golf. Don't you think it's time to take your game to the next level? Call 314-647-8054 or visit them on the web at proamgolfusa.com. It's Pro-Am Golf.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, and let's head to the 19th hole.
Golf with Jay Delsing, and this is the 19th hole. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Thanks for joining us, and I loved the visit with David Feherty. I could have talked to him all day.
We talked about this in the Open, wondering about why he went to live. I loved his answers. It's like there really wasn't anything else for him to accomplish in his career.
And to be a number one analyst, he wanted to do that.
Yep, absolutely. And he's such a thoughtful guy. I wonder, as this kind of progresses, I know people are still kind of pissed at him that he left, but he does so much good, especially for our servicemen and women and things like that. Hopefully that kind of dies down a little bit.
Do you think he has buyer's remorse at all? Or do you think it's just something like you said, hey, I needed a different challenge in my career. I don't care what the ratings are, and they've been abysmal for Liv. They've been terrible. But do you think he even cares about that?
I bet he does. I bet he does. He's just a
deep down.
Yeah, deep down. Yeah, he's a professional, man. He's a jokester and acts like things don't matter, but it really does matter. I mean, when I've done things with him and we've been emceeing things, I mean, we prep and we prepare. It's not like, oh, we're just walking out and going to say anything. But it comes across that way, and I think that's the brilliance of him. He is so prepared, and he has all this information, and it makes it seem like he's just rolling off the couch, but he's ready.
We shouldn't overlook the fact, and you played with him, he was a really good player,
Damn
too.
Good player, Danny.
And so for a guy like me that has seen him primarily in working on the television side and as an analyst now, or walking with Tiger, as he said, on the course and seeing him up close, and I love his insight. But really, you have to remember, and you played with him, he was a really good player too.
Oh, he played on the Euro side on the Ryder Cup. I mean, he won 5 tournaments. I mean, he was a damn good player. One of the things, especially his generation, my generation, Danny, when you grew up on the Euro side, you turned pro when you were like 15. I mean, Ian Poulter did that, and they talk about being maybe a 1 handicap, which is not good if you're a professional golfer and learning how to play. And Feherty talked about he turned pro and wasn't, really able to compete, but learned and hung in there. And it gets exhausting when you've been doing it from 15 years old just to 35. That's 25 years. You're 35 years old. But you saw a little bit of that with Seve in his tour career. Blew us out of the water with some of his creativity, winning Augusta, winning the British Open and things like that. And by the time he was 35, Danny, we would say he's an old 35 because a lot of miles on those bodies and the traveling, and it gets tough.
You've gone to Pittsburgh, been a part of those events with David Feherty, and that's really become his passion to help the military, fallen soldiers, those that come back injured, mentally and physically, and I know you've seen it firsthand. It's pretty amazing the work he's done and the lives that he's changed.
It is. When I get the privilege, and I truly mean privilege, of meeting these men and women heroes and listening to their experiences and watching their attitudes now, sitting next to them at dinner and things like that, and they don't have an arm. They can't see out of their right eye. Their body's just so badly mangled and disfigured, and their attitudes because of the red, white, and blue, and because, they're saying freedom ain't free, and their sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice. So you and I can even do this show or go play golf later today. I mean, it's amazing, and I get way more out of it personally than I put in.
What's he like as an MC? He's got to be great, I would imagine.
Oh, he hops all over the place, and he just, if you give him something to don't give him any fodder, because he'll make fun of you up there, and it's just funny.
Do you think Liv and the PGA Tour eventually, as we talked with David about this, do you think they eventually find, let's just call it a world tour, that they come back together and we are going to see the top names competing on just one tour?
I don't see it.
I don't either.
Danny, I can't figure out how. So let's just take DJ, for example. Still a real viable player, really good player. He took $150 million reportedly. And then you've got guys like Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth and Morikawa, all of the guys, Rahm, Scheffler, they all turned that money down. How do you make that right? They said no. He said yes. Okay, fine. But how do you reconcile that on the same page? I don't know.
When I watch Liv, and I do watch it, because I love Phil Mickelson. So specifically, I want to watch him play. And the broadcasts do seem to, even if he's out of contention, go to him because he's such a polarizing figure in the game of golf. I watch it, and I still am trying to figure out team format, individual format. Guys are in shorts. I don't like that. There's just something missing for me, and maybe it's because I've been conditioned to watch the PGA Tour for so long and how it's been presented on television, but it is a different viewing experience when you watch LIV.
From my perspective, it just doesn't seem professional. So I can overlook the shorts, that's fine, but the shotgun start, having everybody finish at the same time, Danny, first of all, there's no drama on that tour anyway.
It's an exhibition.
It's an exhibition, like Andy North said, Curtis Strange, Tom Watson was extremely strong worded about that on our Beyond the Fairways podcast. Here's an example. At Bedminster, up at the Trump Golf Course, they had this really cool VIP experience for certain levels of sponsors. So they had a segment cut out on the driving range where you got to sit and have a cocktail and watch the best players in the world warm up and practice. Well, after the round, each day, only one guy came and hit balls after. Danny, no. That's not it.
So that leads me to this, and I was going to ask you about this. I do wonder if the LIV players, to an extent, now Koepka was awesome in the Masters, but DJ was terrible. Phil was great. Some of the other guys were complete non-factors. If you lose your edge playing on LIV, and then all of a sudden you have to ramp it up and you're playing against the best in the world in these majors, I do wonder, to an extent, have they lost an edge? Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we both know as athletes it's not a switch. You'd like to think that you can go, okay, I'm going to, but we've seen that with Tiger. He's so much fun to watch and game-changing, and here's a guy that can't physically get out to compete. And so he's rusty as all hell, and I'm with you. I just don't know. LIV's 3 rounds. The incentive, we all know, no one likes to play bad golf, okay? These are alpha males. They don't want to suck at anything. But you're not sharp, Danny, like you are on the PGA Tour week in and week out with 150 of the best players on the planet. You're not sharp like that. So there is definitely something to be said for that.
Okay, as we wrap up, Golf with Jay Delsing. We played last week. I've got my money on Jay Delsing for the Ascension Charity Classic. So how's your preparation going for the event?
It's going really well. So I got to tell you, I had this new knee put in almost 2.5 years ago, and for whatever reason, this spring, and I showed you while we were out playing, I can actually move with my right knee. I can actually push off on my downswing and get over to my left side. Danny, I've added 14 yards to every one of my irons.
Wow.
And so I'm back at hitting my 6-iron 190 yards and things like that. So those are back to the old number days for me. And so I really feel like some bullets in my gun to go ahead and play. So it's been a fun spring so far.
I got my cash on you, Jay Bird, just to add a little pressure.
Just a little cash. Just don't put too much on there. I don't want to disappoint you, but I'm excited as hell to be able to play, and thank Nick and Steve for giving me a spot. And just to be able to play Norwood, Danny, the first tee, the jitters are like nothing I've ever experienced. It's incredibly emotional, and again, there's no spot I haven't been over at Norwood, so it's going to be fun.
It's going to be great. Can't wait to see it. Our thanks to the Ascension Charity Classic. Our thanks to the new sponsors that have jumped on, Paul Manos, located in Chesterfield, and Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood. Want to thank them. And Jay, as we always do, to wrap up the show,
hit them straight, St. Louis. Hey guys, Jay Delsing here, and listen up. Remember this name, Redbird Heating and Cooling. That's Redbird Heating and Cooling. 314-320-9507. This is a family-owned and operated St. Louis business. Owner and CEO Jed Dickinson leads their apprenticeship program called the Veterans Vocational. He will teach and sign off on educational and mechanical work hours while you get licensed, as you get paid working for the company. That's Redbird Heating and Cooling, 314-320-9507 or redbirdhvac.com. Start your new career as a licensed HVAC specialist with Redbird Heating and Cooling.
The Legends of Golf return to St. Louis in 2023. You won't want to miss one of the strongest fields in golf. Ernie Els, Steve Stricker, Bernard Longer, John Daly, and many more when they compete for the 2023 Ascension Charity Classic title, September 5th through the 10th at historic Norwood Hills Country Club. All proceeds benefit area charities. Together, we were able to donate over $1 million to those most in need last year. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com.
Hey, Delsing here, and my show Golf with Jay Delsing is brought to you, as always, by Daugherty Business Solutions. It's Golf with Jay Delsing, Sunday mornings at 9 for all your golf needs. Reach me at jdelsinggolf.com.